Welcome to Follow the Money. I'm China Barachina. Here we uncover the stories and strategies of how money really moves. Today, we dive into the world of markets, not just as numbers on a screen, but as a strategy. A world where patience, discipline, and smart analysis determine success. We took a closer look at how technical insights and market psychology come together to guide investors through volatility. Joining us is Ron Acoba, Chief Investment Strategist of Trading Edge, to talk about trading risk management and how to follow the money in today's complex market. Hi, Ron. Welcome to the show.
Hi, good afternoon, China. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, I'm hoping that your next is nandito ka na sa studio, ah.
Yeah, of course.
How have you been, Ron? And welcome back.
Well, been in and out of the country, especially with nothing's happening good locally with the market, so might as well just have fun
just like
elsewhere.
So, Ron, during your last last guesting, how was the market? How did you seeing the market move?
During my last guesting, if I remember correctly, it was still I think at the latter part of the first half of the year.
Yes.
It was the advent of the rise of Digi Plus, if I remember correctly.
Yes, that's right.
Well, if you ask me, personally speaking, the first half of the year was actually great, really great, and then starting right at the start of the second of the year, that's when things fell down for our local market. So in terms of opportunities, in terms of potential for income, at least from a trading perspective, medyo nabawasan siya in the second half of the year.
Do you still? So what's your sentiment right now with the market, if I may ask?
Well, it's a wait and see. Unfortunately and objectively, it's still bearish. Of course, there will be pockets of opportunities here and there. The key there is to be ready when those opportunities show up. But as of the present, there aren't really notable potential trades to be taken as of the moment.
So talking about opportunities, how would you describe your personal money mindset? Are you a chart-driven talaga na strategist, or are you more of a disciplined investor in your own terms?
No, it's more of encompassing both. I both rely on macro. I execute based on technicals. And then I both have shorter and longer term perspective depending on the part of the portfolio where I apply those. Why? Because especially as you get bigger, it actually becomes more difficult to navigate the market. Because for example, when you're a retail investor, say with an account of 1 million pesos or less, it's very easy to go in and out.
Yes.
Diba? In and out of the market. Just one buy, isang bagsakan na bili, isang bagsakan na sell. But as you get bigger, for example, in my case, between my other company and Trading Edge, in Trading Edge prop desk, for example, alone, I already manage about 2.5 billion pesos. In my other company, I indirectly manage about 300 million pesos there. So given that amount, it's very difficult to just purely base your trades and your strategy on technicals alone, di ba?
Yes,
because you cannot
fund
really
management na siya talaga.
Yeah, it's really have to be applied in a portfolio. You really have to do an apt portfoldio modeling, not just individual trades.
You mentioned about two companies. How are the two companies different from what you have mentioned, Trading Edge and the other?
Well, Trading Edge is my main company for the long.
That's what I know.
Yeah, I've established it since May 20. It's been in operation since May 2012. We're mostly a third-party research provider for banks and brokerage firms. But we've also, since 2020, we've also manage our prop desk company money and the money of
Okay.
our institutional and private clients.
Let's.
On the other end, in 2020, also me and my former colleagues in BPI Asset Management also established a new firm, which is APG Partners. There we manage private accounts through algorithm based
So, are you just
modeling.
Are you just trading the Philippine Stock Exchange, or are you
Yeah,
exploring portfolio? Okay.
these are mostly local.
Okay.
For trading edge prop, it's both equities and the bond
Oh,
and the
okay,
bond
the
market.
bond. Okay. So many traders panic, Ron, when the market moves sideways and also when it's was bearish. How do you personally stay grounded when, the volatility is here? Some traders I know would love volatility,
Yeah,
but
to be honest, the end objective, the most difficult market to navigate is a sideways market. Why? Because there are a lot of fake signals in terms of trading, in terms of technical analysis.
dito ba
There are a lot of
nangyayari yung bull trap?
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly. Yung
Okay.
mga fake moves,
Yeah.
kala mo it's a quote-unquote breakout already, and
Yeah.
then all of a sudden, a day or two after, it will falter, right? Because there's no legs underneath it, underneath the general market. There's no momentum. There's no real momentum coming in. So it's actually even more difficult than being in a bear market, because in a bear market, you know that you are in a bear market. The best thing to do there is stay away, right? That's why I remember telling you in our previous interviews that my best personal year was actually 2020, because
Oh, yeah.
going into 2020, at the end of 2019 towards the start of 2020, trading edge, me personally, and my clients were mostly in cash, anticipating some sort of disruption,
Yeah.
which of course came into the form of the pandemic, right? And when the pandemic happens, that's when we jump in, because and then allowed us to double our money in a couple of months
So
time.
timing
So
talaga is of the
yeah, so
essence.
maybe in terms of percentage, not really that notable, but in terms of how big we put in like, you know, a a massive amount
Yeah.
during the pandemic, and that's why
Even Macro
for
Asia moved during the pandemic.
yeah yeah
Diba?
but on the sideways movement, yeah, like I said, it's more difficult because there are a lot of conflicting signals. Uh, Earnings are not sustained, so yeah.
But I'm curious, Ron, what's one trading principle you've learned the hard way that still guides you till today?
Well, it's acknowledging a sell signal. Like when a sell signal uh, shows up in front of you for a specific stock or for the market, you have to acknowledge it. Because, like I said, I touched upon it earlier. It's all about opportunities, right? Even in a sideways market or even in a bad market, there will be pockets of opportunities. But what will you do with that opportunity if you don't have the capacity to take advantage of it? Of course, you need cash, di ba?
Yeah.
So how, for example, there's this great opportunity pero ipit ka
Yeah.
in some other names, right? Why? Bakit ka ipit? Because you didn't acknowledge a sell signal that was, shouting in front of you previously. So the key is to be able to take advantage of opportunities, and how will you be able to do that? In your other positions, if there are flashing sell signals, you acknowledge it, so
Yeah.
that later on you're liquid enough and opportunities shows up again.
The market closed at 5,818. And this one of the like support numbers that where
Yeah,
technicians are saying. But
5-8.
others
Yeah.
in extreme were saying that it can go to 4,000. What do you think?
Well, 5-8 now is the year-to-date low, so we're hanging on that particular level. Below 5-8 is the 4-year low, which the
Oh
index
my
marked
God.
back in 2022, which is just 5.7. So lapit lang, 5.7. But below 5.7, it's already 4.5 actually.
Yun
It's
nga,
already four.
$4,000.
It's
So
already
then,
4,500. So if we unfortunately I mean fall below 5.7, we could crater. I mean, of
yeah,
price wise
yeah.
to to 4.5. So
Nako,
that's
grabe.
that's from a technical analysis point
Yeah.
of view.
So in terms of like catalysts, possible catalysts that will, reverse this trend that is happening right now, do you have anything in mind that can?
That's the thing, 'di ba? Kasi for the longest, like for the last 4-5 years, um the PSEI is just trading in tandem with the other markets in the region.
Yeah.
Same with Thailand, same with Indonesia, same with Malaysia. We're just moving sideways in a choppy manner,
Yeah.
right? Why? Because all the money is going into the US because interest rates there were up. It's
Up.
more
Yeah.
logical to just put it in a 1-year bond in the US.
Mm-hmm.
Aside from that, there's a bull market in the US
Mm-hmm.
driven by the tech boom, diba? So all the money are going into the developed
Countries.
nations. Um, Meanwhile, the emerging markets, our region was just moving sideways, and we're waiting for the Fed rate cuts to finally commence.
Mm-hmm.
So, and it started to commence September of this year, diba?
Yeah.
And that's why the likes of Indonesia, Thailand,
Mm-hmm.
Malaysia are now trading at 1 to 2 year highs.
Yeah, and talking about that word kulelat.
Yeah.
So what do you think? What's
So
your take in that?
obviously there are confluence of negative catalysts are that are pulling the Philippines down. Obviously,
Mm-hmm.
the main one is the ongoing corruption scandal. But
Mm-hmm.
even before the ongoing corruption scandal blew up, there were a lot of negative catalysts that are already sort of kind of nudging away investors, especially foreign investors. One of which I am also naiinis of
Mm-hmm.
why the Philippines is doing that is that the shifting policies of the Philippine government towards
Yeah.
different business sectors. Paiba-iba yung policies.
Totoo.
Diba? So if you're an investor, how can you invest for the long run if the next year the policy will
The
change?
stability is really
Yeah,
off. Yeah. Yeah.
the
Thank you,
policy
Ron.
will change.
Let's
Diba?
see. Yeah, we are really. This is becoming really interesting, but we're just warming up. Follow the Money returns after a short break. Welcome back to Follow the Money. Still with us is Ron Acoba, Chief Investment Strategist of Trading Edge. So Ron, a while ago, kanina sa Gap, we were talking about like sentiments of the market. And
Yeah.
I just realized, because this upcoming Manila IPO, when the market sentiment is like this, what do you think of the possible opening for Manila and the
Well,
demand from the grapevine? How do you see it?
well, before we touch upon that, speaking of the Maynilad IPO, one of the reasons why in the last 2 weeks, or at least one of the contributors why the market has been weighed down, is because a lot of investors, especially fund managers, who will participate or who are participating in the Maynilad IPO are actually selling other positions to be able to fund their participation in Maynilad. So why? Because generally their strategy is to still maintain their underweight in Philippine equities, which means that yes, they are buying the Maynilad IPO, but they will not do so with new cash, right?
Okay.
Which means they will fund that Maynilad IPO purchase by selling their other positions, and that this is a 35 billion IPO. So which means hypothetically they were or they are in the process of selling worth 35 billion worth of shares elsewhere to be able to participate in Maynilad.
So
Now
umikot
with regard
lang.
Yes. Kasi in terms of general strategy, hindi naman nag-improve yung outlook nila in the Philippine market. Pangit pa rin. That's why there's no need to increase their equity weighting, di ba?
I see.
Now, with regards to what's likely gonna happen on the listing date of Maynilad, it's quite possible for it to actually be lower, unfortunately,
Yeah.
especially if foreigners pull out, and they've been pulling out, right? And for them, even if they pull out at a loss, it doesn't really it won't really affect their general portfolio to begin with because super liit lang if ng percentage ng Philippine equities in relation to their entire portfolio. So it won't affect them in any way.
So how about you? Do you personally see that it's a buy, or do you see it as
Well-
expensive or cheap?
Of course, there's no technical
Yeah.
rationale for it. It's
Yeah.
just it's the first listing date, diba? Fundamentally speaking, it's cheap, right? Because at 15 pesos, it's doing 25 at around 50, if I remember correctly, at around 7.5 times 2025 project PE. On the other hand, see my what you call this Manila Water is actually trading even cheaper at 7.1 times, and the region is doing 11.3. All the water distributor companies, the
Yeah.
average. So relative to the average of the region, it's actually both Manila and Manila Water are actually trading quote unquote cheap, right? Add to that Maynilad is estimated to have a dividend yield of around 6.6% for 2026.
Okay, just one
So-
for the 2026 alone.
Yeah, for 2026. Kasi tapos na, nagbigay na
Yeah.
sila for 2025.
So-
For 2026, more or less 6.6%.
I see. So in terms naman of the penalties, like we've seen brokerage penalties and governance issues recently. How do you factor in this institutional risk when analyzing technical setups?
Not so much. It doesn't really have much bearing. In terms of governance, what has a lot of bearing is we're talking about governance,
Yeah.
right? Not in relation to the brokerages, but in relation to the governance that we're having now in
Exactly,
the Philippines.
the national, the national.
So yun yung may malaking impact, and that's actually the main reason why a lot of investors are pulling out.
Yeah.
Because there's no accountability across the board in this particular government, and wala. I mean, like we're the worst performing market, diba? At least in
Yeah.
our region, not
Yeah, in
just
the
this
region.
year, but for the last 10 years.
Okay,
So-
ngayon lang na-highlight. Ngayon na yung
Yeah.
pagkakulelat. So with
Yeah.
foreign investors pulling out that you're mentioning and liquidity thinning, is this a dangerous signal, you think, or a hidden opportunity pa?
Well, yes, both of course. Danger because if they continue to pull out, then we have yet to see how low this can go. Diba? As I mentioned, at least from a technical point of view, it can go back to the pandemic low of 4.5. Even if you argue na parang illogical na umabot sa 4.5 because pandemic is different from how we are now. Pandemic, a lot of businesses were closed. Nowadays, businesses are still operating. But then again, movements are driven by sentiment, and sentiment don't actually take into account fundamentals, di ba? So,
Oo nga. Pero
So-
in terms of ano naman, in terms of like the buzz about the fake news around that the market wipeout affected sentiment last month. What do you think? Like how dangerous is misinformation?
You know what? Well, dangerous if dangerous. So, pinag-uusap, of course. But if you ask me, it's not actually fake news. Eh. I don't know why a lot of people from above are denying. But But for example, now on a year-on-year basis, the Philippines, the PSEI is down by at least 18%. If in the previous months, if previously the total market capitalization minus Manulife and minus Sun Life of the PSE is 16 trillion, then then an 18% decline is close to 3 trillion already. It might not have been 5 trillion, but 3 trillion nonetheless. And the initial report that actually came out, or the initial commentary that actually came out from the SEC head, was that the PSEI declined by 1.7 trillion. Actually, in the last 10 days of September, the PSEI was down by 6%. And that 6% is more or less equivalent to a trillion pesos already, right? So it might not have been 1.7 trillion, but it's still more or less 1 trillion pesos that was wiped out in that short amount of time. So we shouldn't really, deny this. But I get why they are so defensive, because again,
they just have to do their job and protect the image.
But
numbers.
Why they have to be defensive. But the numbers are supportive.
Numbers don't lie. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So let's go to rapid fire, Ron. Just choose between this, and you don't have to explain. So charts or fundamentals for you?
It's both, especially if you're handling
So right now, bull, bear, or sideways?
It's actually bear, unfortunately.
Okay. Bitcoin or blue chips for this sentiment?
Blue. Well, right now our blue chips are actually sucking, like SMAC video.
Unfortunately.
SBI Metrobank. I personally, I could go. I have a little Bitcoin, but I still hold, at least on the portfolio that I'm managing, some blue chips like Meralco and ICT, which are still outperforming the market.
And how do you? So the last question probably will be, how does Ron Acoba follow the money?
Well, it's really following where the flows are, both in terms of individual names, and both in terms of the general direction of the market. So it's quite evident, naman, that if you look at where the money is going, if you look at the general market, the money is going up. So you really have to acknowledge that and to follow it. So if you don't, not really follow it, but acknowledge that they're not really going in as of now. But if you're forced to be positioned, at least in some, you have to filter out saan pumapasok. But at least from the start of the year, money was flowing into companies that are able to post double digit gains. That's why at one point the DigiPlus was up, diba? At one point APX was up. And that is why up until now, since the start of the year, the likes of Meralco and ICT are still up. Why? Because their run-up are supported by double-digit earnings gains.
So what's one stock, Ron, that you still recommend?
Meralco.
Meralco. All right. Thank you, Ron. Thank you, Ron, for your insights today. And we hope that your next visit with us it's gonna be in the studio. Thank you, Ron.
Yes.
The markets are more than just numbers. They reveal how we think, how we respond, and how we plan for the future. Ron Acoba shows us that following the money isn't about chasing every trend. It's about discipline, patience, and making strategic decisions that stand the test of time. In a world of volatility, fake news, and global uncertainty, success comes to those who stay informed, stay calm, and stay true to their strategy. As Warren Buffett once said, be greedy when others are fearful, and fearful when others are greedy. At the end of the day, it's not just about profits. It's about learning, growing, and making every move count. And before we go, 50 days till Christmas! Ayan. But thank you for Amen Global Co. for my suit today, and Lift Aesthetics and Pino Beauty Salon. And then I'm China Barachina. Stay curious, stay sharp, and always follow the money.